Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show where we discuss all the latest Manchester United news, drama, and conversations going about. We discuss recent performances, the managers, the players. But yes, we got a bit to talk about. We got a bit about Carlos Baleba, his head. He's lost his head at Brighton. A Manchester United move could be on the cards in January. There is talk and discussion about a Maino Valverde swap deal. Don't think there's any reliability in that story, but we might touch upon it later. But the big talking point at the moment has been Amad Diallo. In fact, a lot of negative conversations around Amad Diallo. All you have to do is search Amad on Twitter, and 99% of it isn't very nice. And I'm going to be honest, leave Amad alone. Leave Amad alone. I think the fact that after a few games into the season, because Amad's had a few poor games and taking a picture with Garnacho, the way that our fan base has just turned on him is for me is a disgrace. It's not okay to be turning on Amad the way that he's been turned on. Okay, he took a picture with Garnacho, cool, they're best mates. Okay, he's not had the best start to the season, but we're 5-6 games in. Okay, and I actually thought he was pretty good in the Burnley game. You know, we know he can do more, but he's changing position, he's swapping here, he's swapping there. Amad is too good of a player to just become a bad player overnight. You know, I just feel like you can sit here and you can have a conversation like, oh, Amad hasn't been near his best, because Amad hasn't been near his best this season, and that's a fair conversation to have. We can have conversations about Amad. But then people saying they want him gone, people harassing him on social media so he deletes his post, people saying he's going to be next in the bomb squad, people making up narratives that he's a troublemaker because he's friends with Garnacho and he's going to be next in the bomb squad. Why are we jumping to conclusions? Why are we jumping to conclusions and turning on our own players this quickly? Let's be honest. Amad Diallo is not the problem at the club. We have this thing where someone has to become the new scapegoat, someone has to become the new problem, and it needs to stop. There's some fans that think Bruno is the problem. Bruno doesn't suit the system. Bruno is not a number 6, and Bruno's defensive awareness lacks in that number 6 role. But the manager's playing Bruno there, and he don't suit the system, and Bruno was such a good player that, you know, we need him in the side, even doesn't suit the system. Some fans think Bruno is the pure reason to why Man United aren't succeeding, which is ridiculous. I mean, you swap Bruno for Adam Walton and we're still not going to be a lot better. It's a lot more than that. Marcus Rashford was the problem. 5 goal contributions in his last 3 games. You know, who else was the problem? McTominay, MVP. Who else was the problem? Fred, but we didn't get better after McFred left. Maguire didn't always start every game. He's not the problem. Ronaldo, De Gea, you know, Onana. You know, they didn't do isn't much better than Onana, if at all. There's always a problem, and I feel like, okay, right now, probably the problem would be Agati in the sense of I think he's the player the fan base probably rate the least, but there's always got to be a scapegoat in this fan base, and I'm fed up with it. It's not one player is the issue. Some players need to improve. The manager needs to improve. The tactics need to improve. And when you've got a player like Amad Diallo that gave so much last season, was one of the few players last season that didn't come out of that season as a disgrace, who we know works hard, who we know tries hard, and yes, he deletes his Instagram posts a lot, and yes, maybe, you know, when he's being attacked, he has a weaker mentality because he didn't delete his posts, but he shouldn't be getting attacked in the first place. Amad is the last player that should be getting attacked. No player should be getting attacked. But people are saying he's part of the bomb squad. Get it out now. He's taking pictures with Garnacho. Obviously, it's not all fans. It's a minority, but it's a very loud minority on Twitter. And I just think it's toxic to be attacking Amad. We can have a conversation and say, look, this guy has been nowhere near his best. This guy's been nowhere near his best. And we can have a conversation about that. But to say, we should look at getting rid of him already, or he's trouble, he's friends with Garnacho, to jump to conclusions is mad. Some of our fans turn on players way too quickly, quite a few proving our fans wrong when they leave. Exactly. You know, we've got to remember this is an unsustainable environment with many players being played out of position, played out of their best role, and they go and leave us and thrive. You've got to remember that. You've got to remember that. You know, it's toxic to be... I think it's just toxic to be turning on Amad. Without Amad, Scoresby could have been relegated last season. He's been played out of position. There's a lot of things. And, like, yes, he's not been at his best. But it's frustrating that when I look at Amad, I'm seeing tweets of, oh, Amad's been shite this season. Serious conversations needed. Needs to go. Okay, Amad hasn't been his best this season. Let's have a conversation about it. But not needs to go. He's been shite, you know. And then, obviously, you know, Amad's been obviously hearing the hate because he's been getting a lot of stick and getting a lot of hate. And he's put up things like this on his Instagram, like, speak to me, chat all the chat, sort of, people going to go at him for taking a picture of Garnacho, who's his best mate. Look, Garnacho's a troublemaker. Garnacho's a knob, but we won the game. We beat Chelsea, and he swapped shirts with his best mate after the game. It's not that deep. And, people saying Ahmad's trouble because he's putting this on his story. Ahmad putting this on his story doesn't mean he's trouble, doesn't mean he's going to be the next player in the bomb squad. Ahmad taking a picture of Garnacho and putting that on his story, basically saying he's not listening to the hate, doesn't make him all of a sudden a player with an attitude issue. I just don't know what the fan base is jumping at here. I like Ahmad. Not been near his best this season, but we've needed him most of his matches. Look at the Arsenal game when Ahmad came off the bench. When Ahmad came off the bench, we went up a level in that Arsenal game. Look at the Burnley game. Ahmad was fantastic versus Burnley, and he was fantastic off the bench versus Arsenal. He was poor versus Grimsby. He wasn't at his best versus Manchester City, and he wasn't at his best versus Chelsea. He couldn't find Sesko with any of his crosses. But we were forgetting what Ahmad did off the bench versus Arsenal. We're forgetting what Ahmad did versus Burnley. It's not a case of he's been awful every game this season. He's had 2 good games this season. But with the way the fan base has been acting, you'd have thought Amad Diallo hasn't put a good performance in for a year. And everyone's sort of crying and, oh, he's taking pictures with Garnacho, get him out. He's going to be in the bomb squad next, get him out. And I just think it is a silly overreaction. I think it's an absolutely silly overreaction because he's taking pictures for Garnacho because his form's dropped a bit. I'm hearing people saying, and I'm reading online, it's sort of Twitter, and obviously Twitter's the minority, and I think the majority of us are self-aware enough to give players time. But, you'll go on Twitter and you'll be stuff like, oh, you can tell Ahmad hates Amorim and is going to try and get Amorim sacked. And it's like, is he? No, he's not. Ahmad is quite professional. I don't think Ahmad is sitting here thinking, yeah, screw Amorim, I'm going to join Garnacho and leave. Like, people think that Ahmad wants to join Garnacho and leave. Like, I just think it's crazy. I've seen obviously things that have gone viral, like tweets about Ahmad not being able to handle criticism, wiping his ex and social media posts shows weak mentality. Amorim should get rid, and I don't agree with those kind of posts. I don't agree with getting rid of Ahmad. I don't agree with the Ahmad hate. I think Ahmad, to be honest, needs to be left alone. People saying that Garnacho's influencing Ahmad, he's going to want to go and join the bomb squad. And I just think we're 5 games into the season, and I feel like weird conclusions are being jumped to. I think it's been jumped to. And look, Twitter is Twitter. It doesn't represent the majority. But I just think, look, Ahmad hasn't been near his best. I think his decision-making wasn't great. I think he could have sounded Sesko. But I think to accuse him of things like being the next player in the bomb squad is crazy. Look, let's be honest. Amorim wasn't using him to his strengths. But he's had multiple opportunities to put the ball into Sesko, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Like, Ahmad didn't have a good game. I'm not saying that Ahmad played well, and I'm not saying that Ahmad had the best starts of the season. I'm just saying I think there's an overreaction towards Amad Diallo. Garnacho's a knob. He is a knob. He is a knob. I mean, do you know what? To watch Garnacho get so desperate to come on at Old Trafford, to then be sat down for Tyreek George. Just to let you know, Chelsea accepted a bid from Fulham on deadline day for Tyreek George. Tyreek George travelled to Fulham to complete his move to Fulham on deadline day because Maresca does not rate him. And then that fell through. Tyreek George was coming off the bench when you needed a goal ahead of Alejandro Garnacho. I mean, that was funny. Like, we will talk about the Chelsea game and the fact that Garnacho sat there in the pouring rain when his side was 2-0 down and needed an attacker, and Tyreek George came on over him. It was absolute jokes. Thank you very much. Hello, I'm a big fan of your content. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the super chat. Hope you're well. These so-called fans are really opposition fans trying to cause trouble. I would give any of this airtime just contributes. I mean, some of it is rival fans, but I do think some of our fan base is being reactionary. Amorim's ruined Cobby. I mean, I will say this. Don't like to say he's ruined Cobby, but I don't know how Maino only got 5 minutes at the end. I thought Maino was our best player versus Manchester City, and we won the game, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. So I don't care too much about how many minutes Maino got if we win the game. But Maino should have come on earlier versus Chelsea. Maino should have come instead of Agassi for me. I don't like that Sesko came off, but I understood why he took Sesko off because Casemiro was an idiot and got a red card. I don't like the decision to take Sesko off, and I thought Maino could have come on earlier. I liked the decision to take Mazraoui off for Cunha, though. I thought that was a very good decision from Amorim. Thing with me is, if I agree with Amorim's decisions, I will say so. The Mazraoui Cunha decision from Amorim was spot on, but I didn't like the Sesko Agati decision from Amorim. But we won the game, so that's all that matters. So we can criticise Amorim's starting 11, and we can criticise his decisions, but Amorim can just say, "Shut up, we won the game," and fair enough. Fair enough. Amma will improve, but can struggle when he plays wing back when we set up negatively. I agree. I think when he plays wing back when we dominate possession, Burnley, he's very good. But when he plays wing back against a bigger side when we're not dominating possession, I don't think he's great. I think Ahmad at wing back when we dominate possession, when he's not needed to get back so much, is a good player. So yeah, let's continue on. So obviously, Ahmad has deleted all his Instagram posts. Now, the reason Ahmad has deleted all his Instagram posts is because he's been getting stick from Man United fans for taking a picture with Garnacho and his recent performances. Garnacho influencing Ahmad. People are saying bro's going to join the bomb squad. I think it's an overreaction. Ahmad has deleted his post because he's been getting stick from Man United fans for his performances and posting a picture with Garnacho. It's not Garnacho influencing Ahmad. I don't think Ahmad is going to be joining the bomb squad anytime soon. But obviously everyone's overreacting over Ahmad deleting. Yeah, sorry, I've just doing that. Ahmad's, I don't know. I think people overreact about Ahmad deleting posts. Amram made mostly good subs. I understood why he took Sesko off, but I wanted a Sesko goal. Agati to start versus Brentford and Sunderland. Maino will be warm on the bench for those games, which is crazy. I mean, you could say Ahmad's being dramatic if you want, but I think, look, he's got stick. He's deleted the posts. Not the first time he's done that. It's not. If I was a footballer, I wouldn't act like that on social media. But I feel like we're trying to make a story out of nothing. Look, Ahmad has always been a special player, and he's that's not going to go overnight. And he's not been at his best this season. But, and I saw Paddy tweet this, why is it whenever one of our players starts to play badly, this fan base almost wants to ruin their life? It's like the minute they play badly, it's like, let's turn on them. I don't get it. I saw a really good tweet from Adam that I want to read out, though. Leave Ahmad alone. Manchester United fans are creating soap operas with Alejandro Garnacho's shirt swap. If he's now cleared his Instagram, which might be linked to the torrent abuse he's receiving lately, so maybe the problem isn't him, maybe it's us. People are like, making out Ahmad as a troublemaker because he's deleted his Instagram post, which might be because he got abused for posting a picture with Garnacho, who's his mate. It's not that deep. And we won the game. We won the game, people. Like, enjoy the 3 points. Yes, he's had a slow start to the season statistically. Players do that, whether they're 23 or 32. He's moving between 10 and right wing back. It's only been 6 games, not 6 months. We could talk about fan channel scapegoating, but right now fans are doing it too. He hasn't said anything disrespectful. He hasn't posted anything worth complaining about. Here's the crazy thought. How about we just support a player through a dip, knowing how good he can be at his best? And I think Adam has spoke nothing but facts here. Let's not make a soap opera about him taking a picture of Garnacho. Let's not make a soap opera about him deleting Instagram posts. Let's go. This is one of our best players is having a dip. Rather than turning on him, let's get behind him, see if we can get some confidence in him, because confidence is big. And I think the reason a lot of our players that leave us go and do well elsewhere is because they don't have the high pressure environment. Let's get some confidence in him, understand he's changing roles, changing positions, and hope that he can be back to his best, because we know how good Ahmad is at his best. I think that is the way to go, and I think that is the way to act. Thank you very much for the super chat. Where are you on Amorim right now? Convinced he's the man? I'm not convinced he's the man, but I've always said you've got to give him a 10-game sample size this season. I've been very negative about Amorim because I think his tactical approach in many games has been wrong, and I think he wasn't good versus City. I thought he almost lost it versus Burnley. I thought Grimsby was a sackable offence. I thought the way he responded in the second half versus Fulham was concerning. But I said, look, he hasn't got a midfield. He hasn't been signed as midfielders, and that is on us. You spent all this money on a manager. You can't sack him after 4 games. Do I think Ruben Amorim will end up getting sacked? Yes. And the reason I think Ruben Amorim will end up getting sacked is because he's not willing to change what he's doing, and I can't see it magically working. I know we've got Sunderland next, and I know we've got Brentford next, and if we can beat Sunderland and Brentford on top of the win over Chelsea, that's 3 games in a row, and that brings Amorim a lot of time. but I'm not confident we do that. On paper, we should be able to get 6 points from our next 2 games. We should be able to win both of them. I'm not confident we do that. I'm not hammering out purely off the basis of I'm fed up of sacking managers. I'm fed up with this cycle of sacking managers. Let's give it a bit of time. So I'm not hammering out, but I don't like Amorim. I'm going to be honest. I don't like Amorim. I'm not confident in Ruben Amorim and his ability to be the guy to take Man United where they need to be. I need to see something to back Ruben Amorim, and I haven't seen enough from Ruben Amorim to back him. He's won, 8 games in 32? I've not seen enough from Ruben Amorim to get behind him and back him, but I'm also got a bit of patience to not sack him yet and see where we are in November. If we are end of November and we are in the relegation zone, for me, Ruben Amorim would have had 10 plus games and we have a conversation saying, you know what, he needs to go. If all of a sudden by November, we're 1 point off 4th, we say, you know what, let's give this manager a bit more time. Let's give him time. Can't sack him this early into the season, but I think once you get to Christmas time, we will have an understanding. But I'm not confident in him. I'm not confident in him turning it around, but I want to be wrong. I want Ruben Amorim to succeed. I want Ruben Amorim to do well. I want to be wrong. I'm not confident that he is the guy. I don't like a lot of things he's doing, but I really want it to work. And hopefully he proves me wrong and wins these next 2 games, and we can start saying positive things about him. Next manager could be Iriola, I think. Let's see a match without a red card and not a pitch flooded with rain. Hopefully not a one-off. Yeah. I mean, some people are getting very hyped up over this win, and I'm glad that we won, and I'm glad that we got the 3 points, and that is big. But yeah, you make a good point. Like, there was a red card. It wasn't normally of a game. You know, people are saying, someone had a go at me yesterday because I said, you know, good game, but hard to draw many conclusions off it. And someone said, oh, get off it. You just hate Amorim. And I was like, no. I think Amorim got a lot of things right yesterday, but I can't go off a game where Chelsea got the goalkeeper sent off in the 2nd minute of the game, where it was chucking down with rain and Enzo Maresca took off 3 attackers as a good game to judge Amorim. Because Enzo Maresca and Robert Sanchez, you know, Amorim should have won that game regardless, and Amorim did well, but we were gifted that by Enzo Maresca's subs, and we were gifted that by Robert Sanchez. I can't judge the Chelsea game and say, guys, and say this is enough for me to get behind Ruben Amorim because of what happened in the game. I need to see what we do versus Brentford. I need to see what we do versus Sunderland in our next 2 games to get behind Ruben Amorim. Because the Chelsea game was a red card, it was chucking down with rain. It is hard to judge. It's a big win, it's a big 3 points. And well done to Amorim. He managed the game out well and he saw the game out well. But you're not going to play many games where they go down to 10 men within 2 minutes and take off all their best attackers. You're not going to have many games like that. So it's very hard to judge it long term and make conclusions from that game, to be honest. It's nearly a year and we still haven't won 2 games in a row. It is worrying. It is a very bad stat to have. Big up Alice. Been a minute since I saw a live stream. Saw polls on Ahmad versus Masraoui. United stand running agendas. Again, Maz is a right centre back or right back, not wing back. Our 3 at the back is Yoro, Maz, and De Ligt. I'd say I prefer Ahmad at right wing back and Masraoui at right centre back. I don't like Masraoui at right wing back. I don't think Masraoui is a right wing back. I'd love Man United to go back to a back 4 and have Masraoui right back, to be honest. I do prefer. I'm not fully convinced about Ahmad at right wing back in certain games. Like if you're going to play an Arsenal or a Manchester City or a Liverpool, you'd probably want Masraoui at right wing back or Diallo at right wing back to deal with Salah or Saka. But well, they're on the left actually, so they're on the right. Who's on the left? See, the left wingers in the Prem are dead. But I think in the big games, I'd probably want Masraoui or Diallo there. You know, the big games we're not going to have much possession, that we're not expecting to win. But I think in a good 90% of games, I would like Ahmad at right wing back because it's so defensive, Ruben Amorim's system. So yeah, I prefer Masraoui at right centre back. My favourite back 3 would be Yoro left centre back, Masraoui right centre back, and De Ligt central centre back. De Ligt has been mint this season, but no, I wouldn't probably. Personally, I wouldn't compare Ahmad and Masraoui because I think they're 2 very different players. But I'd have Masraoui up against Liverpool at right wing back, or Diallo up against Liverpool at right wing back. But that being said, Ahmad, when he came on versus Arsenal at right wing back, was so good. He gave us a bit of something off the bench. Can Masraoui play midfield? Technically, yes, but I wouldn't do it. But if I was going to be completely honest, there is a part of me that's like, if we get some injuries in midfield, you could throw Masraoui in as a centre mid. He's got the technical and physical ability. Respect De Ligt as well. I like his performances since he's joined, finally getting some praise. Yeah, I think De Ligt had a solid first season, but I think this season he's starting to get the praise he deserves because He has been very good this season. De Ligt, very, very good. Mazraoui's been good since he's come back. De Ligt has been good this season. Cunha's looked good. Mbumo's looked good. Bruno's had good moments. But De Ligt has probably been our best performer across the season. Are you worried about Sesko? Do you know what I liked about the game versus Chelsea was Bruno Fernandes. We probably could have gone 3-0 up if Bruno Fernandes took another decision, but he was really trying to play in Sesko and set up that chance to Sesko, because I think he knows the importance of Sesko getting a goal for confidence. I like Benjamin Sesko. I think he will succeed with time. We're not giving him the service. We need him to get confident. I'm not going to react about him. I said it many times. I wouldn't have signed Sesko. I made it very clear, and people had to go at me. I said, I personally would sign Baleba and not Sesko. Baleba's not been very good this season. We'll talk about him. But Sesko's a Man United player now. I'm going to get behind him. He hasn't had much service. The crosses into him have been ridiculous. And I think we've seen positive signs. I think the last 2 games Sesko's played, he showed positive enough signs to get behind him. And I think people are just naturally going to be negative because of the price tag. Yeah. What's your thoughts on Doku? Doku's been very good for City this season. I put my stocks in Doku and Minter. And they're 2 wingers that have both been very impressive at the start of this season. And I knew they would be because they're good players. But let's talk about Carlos Baleba then. Let's talk about what's been said on Carlos Baleba. This was said by Romano. Probably the influence of what happened with Manchester United is having an impact on Carlos Baleba. The situation's probably affected him and his performances. Carlos Baleba wanted to go to Manchester United. He was very keen. We obviously have Hertzler, who obviously came out and said that maybe Manchester United links have got to Baleba's head. Fabian Hertzler has urged Carlos Baleba to remain grounded despite continuing rumours of a move to Manchester United. Now, Carlos Baleba got hooked off again for Brighton. Carlos Baleba's not been very good for Brighton this season. And look, if he continues to play this way, I don't know if I'd want him in January. I love Carlos Baleba. I'm Carlos Baleba's biggest fan. But I do want to see him turn his form around, because if he can, I wouldn't want him in January if he continued to play this way. I'm not going to lie to you guys. He's not been playing great, Carlos Baleba. But I am a big fan of Baleba. Big fan of Baleba. And I think, there's a good player there. And I think that ability doesn't go away overnight. But he's clearly distracted by the Manchester United links. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And it's a good thing in the sense of now Brighton are more eager to sell him in January, and we could get a better deal from him in January. But it's a bad thing in the sense of, well, if he's distracted by this little bit of noise, how's he going to survive playing for Man United when there's a lot of noise? That is the one question we could have. How is he going to survive at United when there's a lot of noise? You're not going to get a break about this or a break about that. So that is the only concern with Baleba. But I think, the chances of him being up for sale in January at a cheaper price, if it continues going this way, is a lot higher. The question is, do you want him if he's not in the best form? Would you go for an Elliot Anderson? Would you say, you know what? He's the guy we need. We'll take the risk. I mean, that's the question. Sesko should have had 2 against Chelsea. We just need to work on our decision making in the final third. I agree. Sesko could have had a goal versus Chelsea with a bit of better delivery. I agree. We could have given Sesko a bit more versus Chelsea. Give Sesko time. We just made the same mistake we did with Rasmus. Young lines need cover and rotation. Exactly. I think Cunha coming back from injury will be big, because Cunha can play number 9, so he can rotate and rest with Sesko, and Sesko has someone to learn and develop from. Hopefully Sesko gets the first goal soon. Turtle says, I hope we stay far away from Baleba. I hope we get Baleba. I hope we sign Baleba. I think it's just a blip. But I do think his head turning this quickly is a little bit of a red flag. It's a little bit of a red flag, being totally honest. But look, will Brighton sell Baleba in January? I'm not sure. Baleba, Wharton, Elliot Anderson, one of those midfielders is who I want. I think Baleba off the ball would complement Maino well, assuming Maino has a future at this club. So Manchester United are only 3 points off second place, apparently, which is good news. We're only 1 point off the likes of Chelsea. We're equal on points of Manchester City. We're 3 points off Tottenham and Arsenal. Manchester United aren't in an awful position right now, especially considering we've played Arsenal, City and Chelsea. We played 3 of last season's top 4. So we're not in an awful position in the league-wise. The 3 points is big, because the 3 points really gets us off the league table. If we'd not won, we would have been in a bad position league-wise, but we're in a much better position league-wise because of the 3 points. So that's a good thing there, getting those 3 points. I'll get the league table up in a second. Sesko's concerning so far. I mean, it's not encouraging, but he's also had no service, and I think that he's had positive signs. I think Sesko lacks confidence, and he almost looks like he lacks that Man United mentality of backing himself, which is my only concern over Sesko. Is I feel like he needs a bit more confidence and mentality, but that could come with time once he's been at the club longer. You've got players like Bruno Fernandes to help. But yeah, I wanted to look at the league table. Ooh. Okay, so on my screen here is the league table. Oh, interesting. So on my screen here is the best. What am I talking about? Best in league table. So zoned out. On my screen here is the league table. Now Liverpool at the top, yuck. Arsenal, yuck. But we're in 7th, which isn't. We're in 11th. Sorry, with 7 points, which isn't great. So have Leeds, so have Everton, but so is City. Right now, we've got Sunderland and Brentford as our next 2 games, which should be 6 points. We should be beating Sunderland and we should be beating Brentford, and we should be getting 6 out of 6 points in our next 2 games. We're equal on points with City. We are 1 point behind Chelsea. We're 3 points behind Tottenham and Arsenal. We're still in a decent position league-wise despite a poor start to the season. But we definitely need to be getting those 3 points. I think if Ruben Amorim doesn't get 6 out of 6 points from his next 2 games, the pressure's already on. Because we're 3 points off second somehow. I mean, we're 5 games into the season, so that's why we're 3 points off second. So it's not like we're too far out now, but we have to win our next 2 games. It's Sunderland and Brentford. 2 of the favourites to go down. We have to win the next 2 games. Any news on the new stadium, please? And standby Jim, massive improvement to the club since he came. I think Jim is better than the Glazers, but I'm not confident in Jim. But look, on the new stadium, it's a work in progress. When there's an update, but nothing super new right now. I'd expect not just 6 points, but high scoring. Yeah, I mean, I'd love us to go in our next 2 games 5-0 and 4-0. That would be brilliant, but I can't see that happening. What's being said here? 1 set. I've just been sent something. What has been sent? Oh, that's not to do with Man United. That'd be why then. I was a bit confused to why I was sent that. We never turn up against a team like Brentford. I tell you what, we're never good at Brentford away. Brentford away is one of the games I dread. We just never have good luck there. We lost there last year, at least 3 goals. We always seem to concede about 4 versus Brentford away. It's like the last game I want to watch Brentford away. But look, we've got to get 3 points. This is Brentford with many players missing. They're nowhere near as good as they were under Thomas Frank. This is a winnable game, Brentford, and Sunderland's a winnable game. And I think if we go out and we don't win any of our next 2 games, that could be the end of Ruben Amorim. It really could be. Anyway, people, big up everybody for watching today's video. I am going to wrap up the live show here. I'm just going to see if there's anybody to redirect to while we are ending up the live. See if Cass or someone is live. Let me check if Never a Foul or someone is live to redirect to, and we can go give them a raid. But yeah, look, league position doesn't look too awful considering how negative it's felt at times. Hopefully we get back-to-back wins. 3 wins in a row would be nice so we can go into the October international break with a smile on our face. The last thing I want to do is be talking about managers in the October international break and who the next manager should be. I want to go in there with a smile on my face. So yeah, hopefully positive stuff comes out soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.